Most people believe their brain works like everyone else's. They wake up, think, react, make decisions, assuming it's all normal. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if your brain processes reality in a way most people never notice and never will? This video is not about intelligence tests, not about IQ scores, not about being smarter or better than anyone else. It's about difference. Because psychology shows something unsettling. Some people don't think faster, they think deeper. They don't react louder, they react later. They don't follow instincts, they observe them. And this difference doesn't show up in school grades, job titles, or conversations. It shows up in small, quiet behaviors. Habits so subtle that most people misinterpret them. Sometimes even you do. If you've ever felt out of sync with others, if you've ever been told you're too quiet, too intense, or too much in your head, if you've ever sensed that you experience the world differently but couldn't explain why, this video is for you. Because the traits we're about to explore aren't random. They're patterns. Patterns linked to how the brain processes threat, meaning, emotion, and uncertainty. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people with these traits don't realize their brain works differently. They only feel the pressure it creates. Pressure to explain yourself, pressure to fit in, pressure to slow down or speed up depending on who you're with. So stay until the end, because the last signal explains why these traits often feel like a burden, even though they're not. Let's begin. Signal 1. You pause before reacting. Most people respond automatically. They laugh when expected. They get angry on cue. They defend themselves instantly. But if your brain works differently, reaction isn't immediate. There's a pause, a brief moment where your mind steps back and analyzes what just happened. Not because you're unsure, but because your brain evaluates meaning before emotion. Psychology links this to heightened cognitive filtering. Your brain doesn't treat every stimulus as equal. It sorts, weighs, and prioritizes. This can look like hesitation to others, but internally, something complex is happening. You're asking, what does this actually mean? Is this worth my energy? Is my response necessary or automatic? The problem is, society rewards speed. Fast replies, quick opinions, instant emotions. So your pause gets misread. People assume you're cold, detached, uninterested. In reality, you're deeply engaged. This trait often develops early in environments where reacting impulsively wasn't safe emotionally or socially. So the brain learned to wait, to observe first, to protect second. Over time, this creates a thinking style that's rare and often misunderstood. Signal 2. You feel emotions before you can name them. Some people feel emotions clearly. Anger, joy, fear, sadness. But if your brain works differently, emotions arrive as signals, not labels. You sense tension before knowing why. A heaviness that doesn't match the moment. Psychology associates this with heightened interoceptive awareness, the brain's sensitivity to internal states. Your nervous system reacts before your conscious mind catches up. This doesn't mean you're emotional. It means your brain picks up subtle emotional data most people ignore. Micro-expressions, tone shifts, environmental changes. The downside, you carry emotional weight that isn't always yours. You absorb rooms. Conversations linger. Energy follows you home. And because society expects emotions to be simple, you struggle to explain what you feel. So, you stay quiet or withdraw or analyze instead of express. Not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much to reduce it to words. Signal number 3, you overthink decisions that others find easy. Choosing what to say, what to wear, when to speak, when to stay silent. For most people, these are automatic. But for you, decisions branch. You see consequences, reactions, possible misunderstandings. Your brain simulates outcomes before acting. Psychology links this to advanced predictive processing. Your mind runs scenarios not because you're anxious, but because you're accurate. The problem is, prediction creates pressure. Every choice feels heavy, every word feels permanent. So you delay, you reconsider, you replay conversations long after they're over. Others call it overthinking. In reality, your brain is optimizing for impact, not comfort. Signal number 4. You feel out of place even when you belong. You can be surrounded by people, friends, co-workers, family, and still feel separate. Not lonely, different, as if you're observing from a slight distance. Psychology links this to self-referential processing, the ability to reflect on yourself while experiencing life. You don't just live moments, you're aware, you're living them. This creates depth but also distance. You notice patterns others miss, social dynamics, unspoken rules. But awareness comes at a cost. You struggle to fully dissolve into groups, to lose yourself in noise. So you hover between connection and observation. Present but not absorbed. Signal number 5. Silence feels more natural than talking. For most people, silence is uncomfortable. For you, it's informative. You think better when quiet. You understand more when listening. Psychology associates this with internalized cognition, a brain that processes inwardly before expressing outwardly. You don't speak to fill space. You speak when there's meaning. This can make others uneasy. They expect verbal confirmation, constant feedback, noise. Your silence gets misinterpreted as judgment, but in truth, it's focus. Signal number 6. You constantly analyze yourself. The final signal is the heaviest. You observe your thoughts, question your reactions, monitor your behavior. You don't just act, you reflect. Psychology links this to heightened self-monitoring and metacognition. Your brain watches itself thinking. This can create growth or exhaustion. You wonder, why did I react that way? Why did that affect me? Why do I think differently? Over time, self-awareness turns into pressure. But here's the truth most people never hear. This isn't dysfunction. It's adaptation. Your mind learned to survive complexity by understanding it. And understanding, even when painful, is intelligence. If you recognize yourself in even one part of this video, there's something important you should hear. You're not broken. You're not too much. And you're definitely not alone. A mind that works differently often grows up feeling misunderstood. Not because it's wrong, but because it notices more, feels deeper, and questions what others accept without thinking. And most of the time, people like you don't talk about it. They adapt, they stay quiet, they observe. But understanding begins when we stop carrying these things alone. So if this video resonated with you, I invite you gently to leave a comment below. You don't need to explain everything. You don't need the perfect words. Even something simple like this felt familiar is enough. Here on Gulposphere, this channel exists for people who think quietly, feel deeply, and search for meaning beyond the surface. If that sounds like you, consider subscribing, not for constant noise, but for thoughtful exploration of the mind. And if you choose to comment, know this: I read them and they matter. Sometimes being understood starts with a single sentence. Take your time and thank you for being.